Testing. This looks like this is going. All right, I'm back once again. I'm gonna leave that off. I'm not gonna worry about that. So I'm back for a little bit more fun and goodness. It's been a week. What is today? Today is January the 19th. I actually have to look this up because I have been hearing about it for a long time now, but I don't know exactly what is going on. So January 19th, there is just a ton of shit going on this week, or this weekend, I should say. Okay, so that's the 20th. Yes, man, it's like it's weird this weekend. This weekend is weird. This is my Beetlejuice shirt. Got this in Meyer. It's a pretty nice shirt. Everybody seems to like it. Fits really well too. But yeah, man, this weekend. Whew, I'm not going to talk about too much of the stuff that's going on this weekend, but I am going to at least address it because it's there. Of course, so yesterday was the 18th, and there was a tiny, tiny little buzz on YouTube about something possibly happening yesterday. Apparently, somebody found something inside of the Simpsons movie. I'm trying not to roll my eyes too much, even though I get it. I understand what he was trying to do with it. I absolutely understand what he was trying to do with it. Because they do hide stuff in movies. They really do. I tend to see the numbers all the time. I tend to see the symbols all the time. I tend to do it. If you want a good, this is a good little test for you. If you ever want to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're ever watching a movie or a TV show, it's mostly in movies because people tend to watch movies more than they will watch TV shows. If you're ever watching a movie and you see a number, a really pronounced number, like there's a number that flashes up on the screen, especially like numbers on buses or taxis, even license plates, things like that. If you happen to see a clock and, like especially digital, I've seen a lot on digital. Old face clocks are kind of hard to decipher because they can either go by the minute or by the actual number that they're pointing to. But if you're ever watching a movie and you see a really pronounced number, keep it in your mind or write it down. I actually started writing it down for a while just to see how many of them would actually start lining up. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. After a while, you will start seeing certain numbers pop up. And everybody's going to be like, oh, well, yeah, certain numbers pop up just because it's a coincidence. Hey, man, it could be a coincidence. It's fine and dandy. But there's certain numbers that constantly pop up. There's certain numbers that you can either add or subtract to each other that equal to certain numbers. Now, I know a lot of people have heard that kind of stuff, and they thought, oh, man, that's crazy. That's stupid. It's... that's the most tinfoil of tinfoil hat kind of stuff, and no, it's out there. It's a thing. You should at least try. Like I said, at least go look at it. I mean, if you're watching a movie, just pay attention to the numbers. If you want specific numbers, as soon as I start saying specific numbers, you're going to be like, oh, it's just a thing. It's not. No. It's not a thing. It's a legit thing. They're out there. You have to see it. If you want certain numbers, 9, 11, 17, 13. 13's not so much. I don't think 13 is a number that's used as much, but 17 is a number. 18 is definitely a number. 23. That's the one. As soon as you say 23, everybody's like, oh, ha, you're talking about that movie, the number 23 with Jim Carrey. Well, yeah, because it's a thing. The number 23 is everywhere. It's a number that people use. It's not the best number in the world. People use it, but of course, 42. You say 42, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's the number of the meaning of life. It's Hitchhiker's Guide. Well, Yeah, that's also a number that's everywhere. You happen to see it everywhere because 42 can be divided in half. That's 21. You flip a 21, it's 12. 12 is a number too. You tend to see it. It happens. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but it's actually a thing. There's actually a thing known as gematria, which is ancient. I think it's Jewish tradition of using numbers to coincide with not only words but just life itself. You can, you just it's like this. It's a compression and expansion of numbers. What it is, and I used to do it all the time as a kid. I used to actually, whenever I was a teenager, I used to be a dick about it, and I used to say I could take any number you have and turn it into 666 because I was an asshole. I really was. I didn't understand at the time, though, that I was just doing basic gematria is what I was doing. I was multiplying things up, multiplying things down, and making them work. But now I understand that, no, it's an actual thing. It's out there. So just, just as a test to yourself, like I said, just keep a watch on the numbers. Keep a watch on numbers like that. But anyways, I understand that it's a deal, and they put it inside of movies. And apparently, this guy saw some numbers, or he saw some words. Gematria also is the practice of putting numbers on the letters. Like M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, so A is the first, C is It's another thing you should look for too if you're ever watching movies and you want to kind of do my thing. 22 is a number as well. Sorry, I'm off from the thing. But if you're ever watching a movie, I've found that it's more than half of the time if you see a parking garage or if you see a floor or you see an apartment number, it's usually always C3, maybe even a C2 or a B3. Can you see where that's going? C3 is a 33. If you want to get into it, C3PO. P is what? 14th. 14, 13. No, it's not 14. What am I thinking? 13, 14 is a 16. 16 and a 15. It's almost a 616. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's you will see C3 or you'll see B3, B2. 22 is a number. It's out there. You see it. You happen to see it, and it's a constant thing, And it doesn't happen all the time, and it does not mean every single number in the world is a bad thing. It just means that it's a thing. It's out there. Tangents. Anyways, no, he happened to see something that happened to say that it was January 18th, 2019. And there was a little bit of a buzz. It was enough that it found its way into my YouTube feed, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll keep my ear out and see what happens. And I don't think anything happened. If anything did happen, it happened behind the scenes, whatever. I always say that whenever it's anything like that, where somebody finds something that they say, oh, this is a date, something might happen at this date, the more people talk about it, maybe we actually cause it to not happen. It's possible. But this one, there wasn't enough buzz on it that I don't think that we could have stopped it, because we didn't talk about it. I don't know. That's some tinfoil shit right there. That's even for me, as someone who has talked about the most far out kind of stuff there is, even for me to talk about that kind of stuff, it just sounds like, what in the world? But anyways, so you got that, and you got today, and today our good old President Trump is supposed to be having some emergency meeting or something, or they're going to have some kind of national thing. I don't know what it was. I heard about it last night, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty nice. That comes right on the heels of all the other stuff that's happening. So on the 20th, we've got this super duper full blood. Sorry, I got an itch. Full blood wolf harvest something. I don't know. Full blood wolf moon. That's what they said. Full blood wolf moon. It's crazy stuff. And apparently, there's a lot of people that are going on about it being like truly prophetic, not pathetic, prophetic. And I've already heard 4 different prophecies about it. Thank you very much. I don't get too much into the prophetic stuff because there are things happening. I can see that there are things happening. Even whenever I wasn't following Jesus and wasn't reading the book and didn't know anything about Revelations, I knew that there were things in the sky that happened that you tend to freak out over. And so you know, even for non Bible believers, even for non Christians, this kind of stuff is scary. It's scaring people. I'm looking over in my corner. Sorry, it's raining. It's like it's too cold for the rain to penetrate the ground. I hope that's why we have a swamp in our backyard right now, because the rain can't go into the dirt. So it's like it's just collecting, and all this stuff's going to freeze. But I have a leak over here in the corner, and it doesn't look like it's leaking, thankfully, because I really don't want to have to worry about water anymore. I got one at the back, too. There's a bar back here that you can't see. You can kind of see the cans and stuff back here. We got, like, cans and bottles and stuff displayed. But, yeah, it leaks back here, too. It's a pain in the ass. But anyways, yeah, this whole blood moon wolf thing. So it's one thing that it's a blood moon, and it's a full blood moon. And, you know, this whole thing with the lunar eclipse and all the other kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a sign within itself. But then they want to call it a wolf moon. And it's like, oh, man, don't do that to me. You know, they've only been pushing wolves and wolf imagery for the past year. I remember back in, it was either February or March of last year, and then into like the summer of last year, where there were a lot of YouTubers, and you can go back and look at this. I don't know if you can search up wolf imagery or search up Year of the Wolf or some kind of shit, but there was a lot of guys talking about, man, they are really pushing wolves. They are really pushing a wolf. And I started seeing it on TV. I started seeing it in movies. And it's like they're pushing wolves, and I don't know why. And it just kind of it kept going, and then it just died. It's like nobody's talking about wolves anymore. Every now and then you'll see one. It's like, okay, I remember that from last year. They were talking about wolves and stuff, but they're calling this a wolf moon? Seriously? That's nervous laughter right there. That's nervous laughter, because that one just, that marks me out in the worst way. To coin a wrestling term, that marks me out in the worst way possible. That's just not cool. So, man, full blood wolf moon. Unbelievable. So what's going to happen? I don't know. They said on the 20th, the night of the 20th was a Sunday night, going into Monday the 21st, and then on the 22nd, apparently there's going to be this conjunction of Jupiter and Venus. I heard this one last night too. Thank you, Jacob Israel. Where Venus and Jupiter are going to be so close together that they're going to appear like they're a really bright star. And there's a whole thing that goes into this about how, you know, the Star of Bethlehem could have been Jupiter and Venus together. They, you know, because they're the two brightest things in the sky, and you know, apparently it's a conjunction where they get together and then they separate, and Jupiter rises and Venus falls. I think there was something on the 23rd. I don't know. Today also. And today also is 9/11 backwards. I don't know if anybody saw that one or not. 119. I there's certain again the numbers. There's certain numbers. 501. There you go. There's another one. 105 and 501. I kept thinking, why am I seeing 105 all the time? And of course 501, you think of 501 jeans, you think of there was a 501 something, I can't remember what it was. May the 1st, there's a lot of stuff that happens around May the 1st, which is kind of weird. That's a 501. But 105, I kept thinking, 105, is that October 5th? Is that a thing? October 5th? But then it's like, that's just 501 backwards. It still equals to a 6. I'm just saying. 23 is a 6. 33 is a 6. 42 is a 6. It's there. You know, it's there. You can see it, man. It's just there. It's just so... It gets sickening after a while. It really does. And I know I've talked about this somewhere before, too. It gets sickening when you see it. And it gets sickening to know that it just permeates everything. And it's like, ugh. I just don't want to see it anymore, man. I'm just so over it. I am not of this world. I have had that thought run through my head. I may have even said that somewhere within the past week. I am definitely not of this world. I have never been of this world. I've never liked this world. This world has always kind of shit on me. I mean, not really. You know, I've had some good times in this world. It seemed like the best times I ever had was whenever I just sold out to it and just, you know, I did all the worst things that a human being could do, and it left me feeling just bitter and empty. It really did, you know. So it's just like, ugh. I was telling Angie, we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about celebrities and musicians that are constantly saying that they sold their soul to the devil and all this other kind of stuff. And she's like, "Are you serious?" Oh, we were talking about somehow we got onto some kind of symbolism somewhere. I don't know, because she's able to see the symbols now too. She's able to see the symbolism. She's able to understand the numbers and all this other kind of stuff. And she was talking about Katy Perry doing something at some kind of either the Grammys or something. She said, "Man, that was purely satanic." I said, "Yeah, you ought to hear what she said about selling her soul to the devil." She's like, "What?" Yeah, man, seriously. She straight up sat there, said that she wanted to be the Amy Grant of music and all that. She's like, "Yeah, she was such a good little girl when she started and all that." I'm like, "Yeah, as I'm saying." She said she wanted to be the Amy Grant of music, and then she said she sold her soul to the devil. She's like, "Oh, man." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's a thing, man. It's a thing." I told her about Bob Dylan talking about how in order to get where he is, he had to keep his part of the bargain that he made with the man of this world, and you know, of maybe the next. And she's like, "Man, I really liked him." I said, "They're all like that. It's all like that. The whole world is like that. And if you don't want to believe it, you don't have to believe it. But God, it's there. It's there, and it permeates everything. And every time I see anybody doing anything, any of the symbols, any of the hand signs, any of the one-eye bullshit, I'm just like, ugh. It sickens me. It really does. And it just, ugh. I am not of this world, and I pray, and I pray, and I pray every day that Jesus will take me away from this place one of these days. I don't know if he will or not. I still have a lot of work to do. I really do. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It's sickening. It really is. So anyways, enough about that nonsense. So in the last episode we were talking about King Hog and all that. I don't have anything specific for this. I really don't. I wanted to get all that crap out of the way because it's a thing, because this whole weekend, like I said, from like Friday until what is it, Tuesday or Wednesday, just that whole block of bullshit. You're just like, come on, man. Come on, man. just that whole block. It's just like one thing after another, after another, after another, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. A lot of people are speculating. The main words, the big main words I've heard are reaping and culling and changing of the guards, or this massive change of mentalities. Something you can put that however you want. I don't like to speculate on that stuff. I really don't. I am prepared. Let's just put it that way. I'm trying to be prepared. This afternoon, I'm going to pull out the go bags, and we're going to check all of our supplies. Is what I'm going to do today, because just in case we've had our go bags set up since the solar eclipse. What was that? 2 years ago, or was it a year ago? No, it's a year and a half ago. We've had those bags set up since then because I said, man, this solar eclipse, I don't like it. It just feels weird to me. To me, it just felt weird. I know a lot of people went out and watched it, and they said, oh, it's such a religious experience and all this. And I'm like, it just feels weird to me, man. So, we got our bags together. Angie humored me through the whole thing. She understands, sometimes you just have to be prepared, and we're prepared. We have water, we have food. I gotta check that food. That food might be getting a little old, but we have changes of clothes. We have all that other kind of stuff because we gotta go. We gotta go. I told her that too. I said, when we gotta go, when you see it's time, we run. That's it. We're out. I'm over it. I will leave all of this stuff behind and go, because it's nuts. It's nuts and crazy. And it sounds nuts and crazy to say that you should have that, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? It's better to be prepared, right? Just in case, because it's not that I don't, how did I put this one time before? It's not that I know that something's coming. It's not that, it's not that I want to believe in every prophecy I hear. It's not that I, really want to be that conspiratorial nut job and all that. It's more that I don't trust humans to do the right thing. because in the end, if something happens, nine times out of 10, it's going to be a human being that caused it. So, unless we finally get to see the giants, in that case, that it's like, well, shit, man, we're fucked either way. I don't know. I gotta watch my language, I guess, right? My language is getting pretty bad. So I don't have anything. I really don't. So I've been reading through this. I'm still not done with it yet. Book of Giants, still pretty good. I read it at work, so I'm a little bit more than halfway through. So what this is, so the Book of Giants itself it's a very fractured. It's very, very fractured. The Book of Giants, the actual translation that they have on this takes up 6 or 7 pages. There's not much there. There really is not much there at all. It's kind of sad. But there are some interesting things. There's some really interesting things in it. Can you guys hear that? I don't know if that's picking up. No, okay. I got my noise gate on, so you probably can't hear it. That's my washer going off. But there's some really interesting things in it. The biggest, most interesting thing in it, and remember, this is supposed to be a companion piece to the Book of Enoch, because it talks about the giants. Now, they're talking about the giants pre-flood, and possibly this is talking about post-flood, because one of the names in here is Gilgamesh. Anybody know who Gilgamesh is? Gilgamesh is he Sumerian? Is that who he is? I don't think I wrote that down. It's not Babylonian. He might be. I don't know. But Gilgamesh that's an old tale, man. Gilgamesh and Enkidu at Hamash, is that what it was? Anybody remember that Star Trek episode, Next Generation? So anyways, And he's in the Book of Giants twice. They name him by name, Gilgamesh, and it's like, ooh, okay, there's a thing. So I'm reading through it, and again, there's not much in here. I think the biggest thing I saw was there was something about a great coming together of the giants, and the giants were fighting each other, and something about the 200 demons, and there was a culling. I didn't underline it because I didn't think of it at the time, but as I've been going, it's like there's been it just comes back to you, and it's like, oh wait, yeah, put that together with this, and put that together with this, and that kind of makes sense, you know. But it was something about they were talking about the 200. They were having a dream about there being like 200. 200 trees or something that were, or 200 plants or something like that, where it was they were culled from this garden, and when they were culled from this garden, it said something about there were 3 left or something like that that were culled from this, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And that may or may not even be in here. Oh, also just a random thing. So I'm human, I am infallible, and my brain is not perfect. I just want to make a correction. And I'm going to correct myself on this too, I'm sure. And the last time that I did one of these, I was talking about the Book of Enoch, and I said the Book of Enoch was the book that had been taken out of the Bible 500 years ago, yada, yada, yada. I was wrong. I'm sorry about that. I absolutely apologize about that. The Book of Enoch was the one they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls that we've never heard of before. The book I was talking about was the Book of Jasher. Now, the Book of Jasher has that part that I thought was in the Bible, but it wasn't in the Bible. It has that part about King Og coming out and picking up, or saying that the entire country of Israel was 3 parses, and that he picked up a mountain. So the Book of Jasher. Now I have ordered the Book of Jasher. It is coming as we speak, so that should be after this. But yeah, I just wanted to correct myself. I am more than willing to correct myself because I am an idiot sometimes. I am a total idiot, and on this I'm probably an idiot too. But I could swear it was something about they were talking about 200 of something, and they were all coaled up, and when they were pulled up there were still 3 left or something like that. And I don't remember where I saw that. I could be wrong. I could have heard that from somewhere else too. But I was like, well, wait a minute. There were 200 of the Watchers that fell. There were, according to this in the Book of Enoch, there were 200 Watchers that fell. There were 20 of the big ones, 20 of the generals, and each general had 10 angels underneath him, and they were supposedly all coaled up. And it doesn't specify, and I'm sure it does somewhere because I didn't go back and look for it, but it didn't exactly specify that that all 200 of them were thrown into the pit of darkness and put in chains. I don't know if that's true or not. I can tell you this much: if they only put the 20 in there, you know, the heads, then you've still got 80. Oh no, come on now, you're an idiot. 180 of these fallen angels left. That doesn't mean that's what happened. It doesn't mean that it's not what happened. I don't really know. Again, I've had so many different tangents that I've gone on that I cannot remember exactly, you know, the giant stuff anymore. I can't even remember that because I've been going on these other tangents about the Grand Canyon and about, you know, all this blood moon stuff, and so it's kind of not there, but I have enough in my head that I'm like, okay, I need to kind of keep that going together. But yeah, it's just little things like that that make me think that, well, you know, angels can't really die because they're not born of earth. So even if the world did flood, they wouldn't have died. And there's a lot of these stories that I've been hearing, especially in YouTube videos. I haven't really had a chance to look it up, but you have these stories of these beings, these gods, little g gods, that have, what was the one? It was Egyptian. They were talking about these fishmen that came up and gave them all this technology and all this understanding of stuff. These fishmen, they were fish. They had like heads of fish, and then their bodies were fish, but they had human legs coming out. It's one of the things that leads to us seeing the Pope and his stupid little hat, the split hat. It's a fish hat. It's a fish head. Think about that for a second. Pope's got a fish head. We're talking about Egyptians and Sumerians that talked about these fish creatures that used to come out, but they lived underwater. And I know I wrote that. I know I wrote that down somewhere. I better have wrote that down somewhere. Egyptians, fish gods living under the sea. Is that where the angels hid? And then, of course, where did the other of the 200 angels go? See, they lived underneath the sea. So these guys were hiding underneath the sea. Now, is this pre or post flood? There's a lot of things I've been reading about. They've been talking about. They're wondering if the pyramids are pre or post flood. You've got the Sphinx. You don't really know for sure. The Sphinx has water damage, like crazy water damage. They're talking about all the outer shell of the Great Pyramids were stripped off, and that could be water damage. So, you don't know if it's pre or post. We don't really know that yet. We're never going to really know, I'm sure. But it makes you think. It really makes you think. They're talking about these gods that came out from underneath the sea looking like fish. And you're talking about angels that are into genetic manipulation, and then we're trying to figure out where the giants came from, because in the book, I was gonna say something about this too. In the book, because somebody else said this as well, it said that all of God's creatures on the earth were killed in a flood. Where was it? I should have wrote that down. But he said that he was going to wipe off all the things that he had created off of the face of the earth. All the things that were born of the earth, he was going to clean it and start over. And angels weren't of the earth. Angels fell. They came from somewhere else. They didn't. The Bible's not exactly lying. It's really not lying. It was everything that could be killed was killed. Angels can't really be killed, and that's why they have to be imprisoned for eternity. There's actually a thing I remember reading that said that they're only supposed to be imprisoned for several generations. I think I even said something about that as well. I did the math on that. And somebody else has done the math about this too. This is me kind of just parroting what other people have said. I think I wrote that down as well. But I kind of did the math on that. If you talk about the generations of older people, yeah, I don't have it written down. But if you talk about the generations of people pre-flood that were living to be 500 years old or so, if our generation is a quarter of our lives, a quarter of their life is only, 200, 150, 200 years. You do 7 generations, it equaled up for me, it equaled up to like 4,000 something. I don't remember exactly how it was. So if the flood took place around 600, 700, in the book says, I think it says 620 something, the 600 and whatever year, if you add it from that, it came out to about, I think it was 10, 10 or 15 or so, maybe even later than that. I would say about the 1700s. Interesting thing about the 1700s. So of course I've been watching the Mudfloods and all that stuff too. I know I'm skipping all over the place. I know, and I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't have a way to go here. We're just following logic. This is the way that I have been following logic for the past week. But there's a thing in the book of Ezra, because I listened to that the other day. Interesting little thing. Not much in it that I could really pull, but there was a couple interesting things. So in the book of Ezra, it says something about. In the book of Ezra, it says something about the angels were imprisoned for 3,000 years before Solomon. I don't want to go look it up. You need to go look this stuff up. Again, like I said before, I'm not going to show it all to you. I want you to go look it up because there's more power in you going and finding something than it is just for me to show it to you. You know, you could play this in the background, just listen to it while you're looking stuff up, and pause and then do this whole thing. This is just me trying to get this stuff out. This is me trying to get it out of my head because I don't really have any place to put it, But it was something about 3,000 years before Solomon. I'm actually going to look it up. This is me. I'm going to look it up. And whenever these angels would be released. So, oh, for fuck's sake. So I did the math, and it was talking about. Where's that? And it was talking about these angels being released 3,000 years before Solomon. I don't remember exactly what it is, and I'm looking it up, and I'm not going to be able to find it. But, here, let's try it this way. I know, this is me doing absolutely nothing. So they were talking about something about him releasing these angels. What was it? No. That's what it was. I'm sorry. It was that these angels had been imprisoned 3,000 years before Solomon or something, man. And I don't have it written down. I'm an idiot. I'm an actual idiot. Because I literally have right here, Book of Ezra, 3,000 years before Solomon, question mark. And I know it had to do with the angels being in prison because I started doing the math. I looked it up. I looked Solomon up. And Solomon ruled anywhere from like 970 BC to 931 BC. I think I actually nailed down a date to like 966. Somebody else said 970 something. I don't remember exactly what it was. I did not write that down. I'm sure I have it in a book somewhere. But they were talking about the exact dates of whenever this happened. And so I added 3,000 years to the 900 whatever. And it was like, for here, I got like 3,966. And I'm like, okay. That's what it was. I was trying to figure out the Jewish calendar. Because that's what it was. It had nothing to do with the angels. I'm an absolute moron. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. This is that. Erase everything you just heard. No, I was trying to figure out the Jewish years. Because one of the other things I've been thinking about too is what if we're completely wrong about the years? There's a lot of guys that are going back. They're trying to nail down a calendar. That was actually a thing I just saw today where somebody was saying, we're definitely not following the calendar the way it was supposed to, or something like that. And so yeah, this is what this was. So yeah, anyways, it was 3,966 was the that's how many years from the creation to Solomon's reign whenever he reigned. And I added 2019 to it just to see, because apparently we're supposed to be in the year 5778. We're going into 5779 according to the Jewish calendar, So I'm like, okay, that's fine, but in the book it actually says the year of Solomon. The earth was created 3,000 years before Solomon, and so I added 3966 to 2019, and those numbers are not completely correct, but the number I got was 5,985. I did another one. I got 5,969. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Because according to the 1 day to 1,000 year thing, which is actually a thing. People think this is in the Bible. It says 1 day could be a year to God. 1 day could be 1,000 years to God. There's a lot of people that say that we only have 7,000 years of this earth before we are sent up to heaven to spend eternity with God. That, for each day something happened, that corresponds to 1,000 years of time. And and I know I talked about this. That big 2-hour monster that I made before, I know I talked about this. So if everything ends at the 6,000 year mark, because we spend from 6,000 to 7,000 to 1,000 year reign with Jesus, then we're coming up on the 6,000 years, right? So you hear about the Jewish calendar. Jewish calendar says we still got 200 years left. And I'm like, oh, okay, that means it's going to be 200 years of misery. Because all the stuff is supposedly happening in Revelations, Mark of the Beast, all the other crap that everything's going on. That's coming up, and it's only 5778s. And these guys are supposed to have the most accurate calendar, according to a biblical calendar. And it's only 57. That means we got 200 years left of this. Ugh. So I'm like, wait a minute. And then I heard this 3,000 years, the world was made exactly 3,000 years before Solomon. That's what it was. Again, I'm sorry. I am infallible. I know my brain doesn't work. The angel thing, it goes to something else. I will hit that one next because it's on my mind. But according to this, and according to the times, that again, we don't know if we can trust these times or not, because we are told that these calendars are correct. That doesn't mean they're correct, or I don't know. It may or may not mean they're correct. I may be out of my mind. You can take it as it is. There's a couple things that I wrote down where I'm like, where in the hell am I? What am I on to here? That's exactly what I wrote down on this. But you can take it as it is. Again, I'm just trying to get this out of my head because it's killing me being in my head. But according to this, you've got 15 years left. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm really not saying that's what it is. But according to this, it's 15 years, 5985. That's just going by that, cutting out the year whenever, because as you go through from 1 BC, there's no zero. It goes from 1 BC to 1 AD. It completely flips. So I cut out that year. I did all the calculations, all the stuff. I think it gets even better whenever I there was something else that gave me a better date for Solomon's reign, and it came out perfect. It's like, ugh, there it is. And then you hear the guys that want to talk about 2028 is whenever things either start or change. There's a lot of guys that want it to be earlier. You know how it is. There's a lot of guys that's like, 2028 is the date, because there's a lot of stuff that happens right up until that point, and then that's the point, and it's either going to end there or this whole 7-year tribulation is going to start there. I don't know. Again, I don't like getting into the prophecy stuff. I really don't. But I did the math. And sure enough, 15 years from this point, you add 8 years to this. Actually, if you're 1 year off, give or take, it could be 2020. You add 8 years to 2020, it's 2028. From 2028 to add 7 years to that would be what, 2035, give or take. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know where I went with that. That went way off on a tangent. I don't even know. But it's where my brain has been for the past week. I started with King Og and then went to Gilgamesh, and then it's like something clicked in the back of my head. All these numbers have been popping up, all this different kind of shit, and it's like, why, Lord, are you giving me this? I don't understand it. Am I? I'm guessing I'm supposed to pass this on to somebody else. Maybe somebody else can use this. I don't know, because for me it's a lot of confirmations that I don't know if I'm comfortable with, because I don't like the prophecy stuff. I really don't. I see it and I know it and I feel it, but it's like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So there you go. I mean, take it as it is. Take whatever I say as it is, because I don't know. Anyways, Gilgamesh. We're gonna get back on Gilgamesh here at home or not, because I said I was gonna do the angel thing, wasn't I? Shit. Speaking of end time stuff, so speaking of end time stuff, for whatever reason in my head it popped up. I was thinking, what if, because when you listen to the Tartaria stuff, when you listen to the Mudflood stuff, when you listen to all that, you start putting together a picture that we're missing about 1,000 years of history. It seems like around 1500s, 1600s, from 600 AD to about 1600 AD or 1700 AD. It's like there's 1,000 years where it's like it just blanks off the page. I mean, apparently we can find little tidbits in there, little things that happen, but it's like, it seems like everything for us started around the 1800s. All the greatest composers, all the greatest writers, all the greatest philosophers. I mean, I'm not even talking about like Plato and Socrates and all that stuff. I'm talking about like, the modern guys all started around the 1800s. And I know there's more. I know there's more in between and all this stuff, but it's just like, it's the dark ages. It's like that, it's a missing gap. And I've always had a problem with that too, because everybody wants to say, oh, well, this was this and that's that and all this stuff, but it's like, yeah, but you're not really telling us exactly what happened in there, And a lot of the stuff when they tell you about it, especially in high school, they just glance over. It's like, oh, well, such and such, there was a fire here, or such and such, there was a war here, but you don't have to worry about all that stuff. We're just only going to talk about the 1800s on up, because that's all the stuff that matters. Because your life starts at 1776, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else ever again. Okay, sure, I guess. But it's always just kind of stuck in my craw. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It just sounds weird. It's just like all this history that we don't have, factual proofs. They were writing books. They were writing pretty big books, but they didn't keep any histories from this, because apparently the church decided to go through and just completely wipe all these people out because they didn't believe in God. That's the story they're telling us. That's the story they're telling us. I'm just saying. They're saying that the church decided to go off and kill all these people, and then all these plagues happen, and then all this other kind of crap happened, and, it's like, wow. That's the story you're telling me. So, I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness going on. My nose is running again. So I was thinking of that, and I'm like, so where's our 1,000 years gone? And then something clicked in the back of my head. And I said, well, we very well may not know the true year. It it's a complete mystery to us. Let's be honest. I mean, you can say it's 2019. The Jews can say it's 5778. The Chinese are going to tell you something else. You know, there's got to be at least 40 other calendars out there. These people are off by thousands of years. I think Carlin actually said that. I don't know. But you don't know who to trust. These people tell us our days. This is Saturday for me. That doesn't mean it's Saturday. How do you know it's Saturday? Do we know it's Saturday? We don't know it's Saturday. We don't know anything. Let's just go by the assumption that we don't know anything at all. That it's all been completely made up. So based upon that assumption, let's go and say that this year may not be the year that it is. That it could very well be 59, 80, whatever. It could be whatever. You don't know. And then something clicked in my head. Well, what if it could be 69, whatever? And I'm like, what? And then I started. It came from this video I saw of the golden Christian age of Tartaria, and it popped in my head. And this doesn't have to be true, and I don't think it's true. I honestly, putting it together in my head, I honestly, I can't see it like that, because I read the scriptures, I read Revelations, and I looked through it, and it doesn't match with what my brain was telling me. But there's something there, and again, I just want to get it out. Maybe somebody can take it and use it. I don't know. So there is, after this whole apocalypse thing or whatever, which actually the apocalypse is not really it's not really the world destroying itself. It's a grand awakening. That's what it could be, grand awakening. And so I was like, after that. So after that, there's 1,000 years where the believers, the elect, will reign on earth with Jesus for 1,000 years. It doesn't really. I know in the book it says that they will be immortal, but there will still be children that are born of these people, because it says at the end of that 1,000 years, for a season, Satan will be released. What in the world happened to my? Is it because of this? That's weird. I think it was my TV went dark. Yeah, there it is. Sorry. My TV went dark. I got my TV on, and it's like, it's lighting me up. Do you guys light me up? Is that okay? It's all good. But I should turn it off. I don't really need to see it. I mean, now it just looks dark. Whatever. So anyways, I'm gonna turn it back on. I'd rather have it back on. I don't like looking at a big black scrying mirror in front of me while I'm talking about this stuff. So anyways, so I was like, well, what if that's it? There's this golden age of Christianity that happened with Tartaria, because Tartaria was this massive community of people that went from Russia over to North America. They're talking about parts of it spread down to South America. I mean, they're down to Australia, there's just, it seems like the entire world was part of this culture of understanding and justice and peace and loving, and they honored truth and righteousness over everything else. And there's a lot of guys saying that a lot of the religions and stuff that we have, that, you know, it wasn't that, it was like it all spread from this, you know, it's like this whole big mass, and it was a good cluster of people. It wasn't like, you know, we're talking about New World Order now, where we're all coming together under some evil government. No, it was a good order. It was the whole world was nice and at peace, and a lot of the stuff that we hear about everything happening in the Dark Ages could just be made up. We don't know. So then, you've got the mud flood that everybody's talking about. All these people disappeared, and then they're trying to do the whole thing and all this stuff, and then you get at this big industrial revolution and yada yada yada, and I'm like, wait. So what if we're in that? What if that's us? What if we're there now? I mean, what if we're just coming to the end of that 1,000 years where Satan has been unleashed? And I'm like, okay, so hold on a second. So it says that Satan will be unleashed for a season. So I was like, okay, well, what's a season? According to 1,000 years, what's a season? And I said, well, a season to us is 1/4 of a year. I'm like, okay, well, a season for 1,000 years is 250 years. Like, okay, well, that's fine. Then let's reverse engineer this thing. So I took my handy dandy little number. Where was my number? What was my number? The 2035, and I just took 250 years. 250 years ago was about 1750 to 1780, give or take. I mean, we're not talking about perfect years again. You can't know exactly what year it is. We don't know. It could be the year 2000 for all we know. We're just going by what they told us. Because I told you before, Satan doesn't play fair. It is what it is. Satan does not play fair. He would have he would have deceived us on everything, not just one thing, on everything. I find it absolutely fascinating that people will look at the calendar and say, well, we had Christians that made that, and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, really? No. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, this is speculation, and I don't think it is what it is. I'm just telling you this so that whoever can take it can run with it and see what they can get out of it, because I don't know. I'm sure somebody somewhere else has already come up with this stuff. I mean, really. But 250 years ago puts us back around anywhere from like 1750 to 1700, going into the 1800s, right? Yes. And I was like, well, okay, Satan is released for a season. And then I was like, well, because I did the math in my head too about the fallen angels being released for after 7 generations of Noah or whatever, and it came about to the same time, about 1700. Again, you have to kind of move some numbers around because I don't really remember exactly what it was. I didn't write it down. It was somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but it coincides. It really, really coincides. There's kind of this. It's kind of there, I mean, it's there, but it's not there, and it's like, And I not again. You have to find discernment in everything. I had to go back to the book. I had to read the book. The book doesn't line up with what I was saying because there's other stuff that happens during that time and all that. But I was like, man, what am I on to here? Lord, what are you teaching me on this one? Where are you pointing me at? So I was like, it makes sense. It just makes sense that you have this great, 1,000 years of peace, 750 years of peace, and then he's released for a season 250 years ago. He's released, all of his angels are released, and suddenly we have this industrial revolution about the late 1700s. You've got in 1776 you have the Illuminati starting up. You have all these Rothschilds and everybody start doing their crap. Starting to get the banks together and all the stuff, and you've got this secret that was about the time whenever all these secret societies really started kicking. They really started kicking. You have America starting to come up now. There's some people that say that America wasn't just wasn't just us fighting the British. That was the British coming over and trying to fight Tartaria, trying to take this place over. So you've got all of these. You've got this war that happens. You can say it was even 100-year war. I don't know. From 17 whatever to 18 whatever, because you've got the Civil War in 1860. Put some math together. Do some math. you know, do some math. From 1776, let's just say that we started doing this nonsense because the British really started pissing people off about the 1760s, right? Do some math on this. This is just me kind of spitballing at this point. So you've got 1760s where the British, where we started hearing about upheavals, in the British Empire and the Americas, and then you've got 1776 where the Americans are starting to have this Revolutionary War, and then it's like through the 1800s you don't really hear much. There's a war that where we have 1812 where they burned down the Capitol or the White House or whatever, and there's all these little tiny wars. There's a Spanish War that goes in there, and there's all these little things, and then it's like you have the Civil War, and it ends with the Civil War, and you've got all these people that have disappeared, all these guys that fought this war that have just completely disappeared. But you've got all these cities, and then you have this mud flood that kind of buries these cities, buries these cities under 10 to 15 to 20 feet of mud. That's not a cultural layer, it's mud. I can see it with my own eyes, and it sounds crazy. And again, I'm not making only the Sith deal in absolutes. That's been like because I hear guys all the time that'll say, well, you have to believe this. You have to understand. This is obvious. You can see it. And I'm like, this is the way it is. And I'm like, no, man, it doesn't have to be the way it is. Anything is possible at this point. Anything is possible. All we have is speculation. And this is just speculation. But you have 100 years of problems in America. And you have 100 years of problems in other countries, and then there's this massive change, and you got these buildings. We have a church down here. I think it was made in 18 whatever. It's a German church. It's an old German church. It's actually up for sale. It's really nice looking church. That I'm starting to look at it, and I can see where the bottom it's buried. It's buried under at least 10 feet of mud, or not mud, but I mean it's buried underneath 10 feet of what they call cultural layering, and I'm like, I can see it. It's there. It's a thing. You see the old pictures of the old White House. White House used to have an extra floor. That's buried. Where they have it now, where the Circle Drive comes up into the White House, that's the second floor. They got a whole floor underneath that got buried. Look it up. It's crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know. Cultural layering. I don't know. Put that together. Put it together. Put it together in your head and think about it for a second. And then history is written by the victors. History is written by the people that win wars. So you win the war, and you're like, well, you know what? We don't have any men left. There's not a lot of women left either. We have a lot of babies. That's what we have. So let's go ahead and repopulate everything. We will invent this education system, which was invented around the 1850s, 1860s. We will invent this education system. We will invent this entire history of the world. We will move the calendar to screw them up, and then we will make it coincide with the Bible, so that they will think that they are not in the right. They will think that they're not in the right time, so that we will be able to harvest as many souls as possible before the end. And then you've got the Industrial Revolution. And then you've got the last 150 years where things have progressed so much, so fast, that everybody is starting to ask where it came from. Because we could not have invented all this stuff by ourselves within the past 150 years. It's not possible. And then you hear about the fallen angels back in Enoch's day when they came down and gave them knowledge of all of this stuff. And then you look at the pyramids of Giza and you hear these guys talking about they used to use the pyramid as an electronic source, as an energy source. You look at the ruins down in Peru and down in South America, where you've got these rocks that you can't chisel. You can't use a chisel on them. That they're being cut with diamond blades. I got chills right now. I got chills and goosebumps. And my little discernment thing in the back that I said when you hear something and it's like the hair stand up on the back of your neck. I don't know. You know, it makes sense. We could still be in the 5,000th year. We could still be there, and that it's progressing the way that it's going to progress. We've got this mark of the beast coming. It's all this. I hear that stuff. I hear that stuff about that and about how we're progressing towards that, and I'm like, surely he could have hid this stuff better. Surely Satan, being the master trickster that he is, could have hid this from us better than he is. Because you're literally the mark of the beast. I don't know if I've told you guys this or not. Okay, so this whole microchip nonsense, this whole thing, blows me away. These guys are talking about putting this chip right here in your hand. I'm sure some of you have heard this. There's some of them that are talking about they're talking about putting it. One of them I heard was behind the ear. There's another one that I'm hearing is literally they're going to put it right here because this is where it can recharge itself. So that you can when you scan your face, like I'm looking at this, when you scan your face, it can read the chip right there. So you don't have to sit here and do this because apparently it went from we have to take a dollar bill out of our wallet to give to somebody, and then we have pocket change. It went from that to having to take out a card. Well, apparently we're too lazy for that now, so we have to have this so we can scan this. But apparently that's too lazy for us too. We gotta put it right there. That way they can just scan us and let us go. The fuck, man! Technology is just so stupid. It made everybody so lazy. All this stuff is supposed to help us, and all it's done is just make us lazy and dumb. Shit. But you hear about that, and it's like you want to talk about it, and it's like, oh well, it's passive. It's nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing at all. But literally, RFI. Look, do the math, all right? I don't have I took a picture of it so I could have it. The numbers on the word. And I may have talked about this. I don't think I did. But I may have talked about this. I took a picture of it so I could have it. The actual piece of paper I have is at work. I don't have it here. Shit. I don't have it here. Do I have it written down on this? No, I do not. So anyways, let's do this. Quick math, all right? S is 18. R is 17. Is that right? MNOPQR. Oh, wait. No, wait. MNOPQR. R is 18. Well, it still works either way, because 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 can be flipped. F is 6. I know that for a fact. I've been going on that one for a while. And I think is another 18. Right? Or not 18. F G I is a 9. There you go. What the hell? So if you add that put that together, it's 969. Flip it. It's 666. Come on. Even RFI. Now D is not there because it's radio frequency identification. It's one word. People say RFID because it's a thing, but it's an RFI chip. RFI equals 666 if you do it. It's so ridiculous. That's base level. That's base level. It gets better. Just wait. So I was listening to some guys talking about it, and I had to actually look it up myself. So the model number for the first chip, the first model number chips that they did, it's called an NTAG 216. Now I did the NTAG, and there was a lot of sixes in there. I was going to get to it. 216. Anybody know what 216 is? 216 is 6 cubed. 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. 6 times 6 times 6 equals, oh my God, it's 216. That's second level. It gets better. It's better from there. There was something else that I found too. Something else I found as well. Oh yeah, this as well. But there's more. I have it written down at work because I'm sitting there at work. I'm just waiting for somebody at work to say, "Oh, have you heard about the RFID chip?" And I would be like, right there. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, let me tell you something about this chip. I'm going to tell you about this." So, anyways, the company that was making these I got hiccups now. It's called Biohacks International. Wow. Biohacks International, BIOHAX International. So the numbers in Biohacks, I try to add those up, and they come out weird. But there's a couple of them in there. You can fit them, but it doesn't really work. So this guy that I was listening to, he was saying, well, okay, let's go through the numbers, let's crunch the numbers, see what they do. So he was looking at the hex numbers for these. And even the hex numbers for each individual part of this. BIO, the hex numbers are 42, 69, and 6F. Right there is just too much. It's too much. 69 is a number too. 42, 69, and 6F. Kiss my big fat ass. That's just BIO. HAX, hex numbers. 68, 61, and 78. So, there's numbers there too. What's 78? 15, 6. There you go. If it's not meant to be the most evil thing in the world, they're going out of their way to make sure that this works. And they don't have to be doing it on purpose. You know this. It doesn't have to be on purpose. It's lining up that way. Now, I mean, that's like third level. That's you're getting up in the you're really digging at that point. It's like when you're getting up in the hex decimals, you're really digging for something, because it's like, holy crap, this is where we're going with this. I mean, just RFI is here, and then you get up to the NTAG 216 is here, and then this is the hex decimal stuff. So the people that actually make the chips themselves, Biohacks is the one that's distributing them. I think but the people that make the chip inside of it are called NXP Semiconductors. I did the numbers on this too. Now this one takes a little bit of skill, but it's there because NXP, N is a 14, X is a 24, and P is 16. So you got the 6 on the end. X is 4 plus 2 is 6. N is 14, is 4 plus 1 is 5. But if you take the 1 from the 16 on the end, it's a 6. I mean, okay, that's upper level tinfoil stuff. I mean, that's like you're stretching to get it at that point. But I'm like, man, come on now. Are you trying to bring about the end of the world? Because that's how you bring about the end of the world, right there. I don't even like them. I don't even think we should put them in dogs. I really don't. I think that we shouldn't be, and I used to. That's the worst part about this whole thing. Because I remember whenever I was living by myself, living in my great grandma's trailer, that I lost keys, and I remember saying somewhere, and I'm sure it's on Facebook. You go look at my Facebook. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. If you dig down, way, way deep down, you're gonna find something where I say, why can't we just have microchips or something, that we can unlock our doors with so I don't have to lose my keys? I know I said that. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot, but God forgives ignorance. If you don't know, God forgives ignorance. Now you do know. Don't get that stuff, man. Come on now. And I'm sure I'm sure there's higher levels. I'm sure you could dig down more and more and more. And there's a lot of guys that say, "Oh, the mark of the beast is going to be, you thinking about the things that the Antichrist gives you and the things you do with your hand." I've said it before. The Bible is a multi-dimensional book. It exists in the physical, it exists in the spiritual, and it exists in the metaphorical, all at once. Every passage in that book you can take three ways, and it works. It absolutely does, and it's an amazing book. It really is. I'm up into the New Testament now. I just got done with John, I think it was, because I did John, and then I did. I think I just got done with Luke. No, not there. No, I just got done with Acts. That's right. But yeah, John. Man, that one hit me. Woo, boy, he knows how to do it to you, doesn't he? John's a good dude. And that one, by the end of that one, I felt amazing. I really did. It really did something for me. So it was a beautiful thing. It really was a beautiful thing. But yeah, man, how far off on this tangent have we gone? Because I don't remember what we were talking about now. I really don't. Oh, the 1,000-year thing. But yeah, what if they did? What if they changed it to where we have already gone through the apocalypse. The apocalypse was the changing of our mind, and then we got the 1,000 years with Jesus. And a lot of us were born after this 1800 year or 1800s or whatever, and we missed it. And now we're in this season of Satan where it's all falling apart. I don't know. Again, I don't think it's what it is. I really don't. It's like I said, it could go both ways, because a lot of the stuff that's happening now, the blood moon is a prophecy, the mark of the beast is a prophecy, the earthquakes and all this other kind of stuff, rumors of wars, all this stuff is a prophecy inside of the book of Revelations. And we're either there or we're 1,000 years behind it. So either way, it is what it is. So I don't know. It's just nuts. It makes you think. It really makes you think. That's where I've been. That's where I've been for the past week. It's trying to put all this stuff together, and then every now and then I'll get like this other idea that'll click in my head, and I'm like, oh man, that's a mind. That just blows you away. Thinking about that or thinking about this, or just like. And I've been trying to keep with the Giants, but the Giant stuff is starting to get a little too much. I can read the book, and I make little notes here and there and all that, but I told somebody at work, I said, I can be a conspiracy theorist and I can follow rabbit holes. Sometimes you start drowning into rabbit holes. You really do. Well, sometimes you get so far down you can't dig yourself back up. And I did that before. And I know that once I start getting down too far, I have to dig myself back up, because it's all it's going to do is drown me. And I can't drown in rabbit holes. I have to keep level. I have to keep understanding what's going on. So I had to stop a little bit on the Giants. I'm still reading the book. And again, a lot of this is Enoch. This is not the book of the Giants. Like I said, the book of the Giants only takes up about 6 pages in this thing. because it's so fractured. But it leads to Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh led me to a couple different things. The one that I liked, because I actually listened to the Epic of Gilgamesh after this. So Gilgamesh was a giant. He was a mighty man, and Kidu was his best friend. Kidu was a giant. So there's this tale, which is interesting. There's this tale of Gilgamesh that had to go fight Humbaba, the protector of the forest. So it's the land where the cedars are. Now, we've talked about the cedars. Lebanon is the land of the cedars. The cedars were huge. The cedars, they get up to 100, 150, 200 feet tall. Back in the day, these things would have been monstrous. There was a legend about the cedar tree of Lebanon being 2 miles high. Monstrous. So anyways, you got Gilgamesh going to where the cedars are, chopping down trees. Get this stuff. Chopping down trees to kill this Humbaba, who has, get this, an ox. It gets better. So he's going through all this, and he kills this. He kills this thing. And then he comes back. I have it written down here that he crossed 50 leagues in one day, trying to get to this, because they were trying to tell exactly, how much ground they covered to get to this forest so that he could fight Humbaba. And 50 leagues, a sea league. Now I don't know what an actual land league is. A sea league is 172 miles. 172 miles, even going at a brisk pace for a regular human, would still take 40 days or 40 hours. This guy crossed 50 in one day. Tells you how big he is. So he goes off here. He cuts down trees, kills this ox, kills this guy, and comes back, and they give him this big feast. This shamash, which is depicted as a bull. Shamash is like one of the big gods, upstairs for them. Those big gods. Apparently, they give him a bull, or he has to go fight a bull or something. So he kills one of the bulls of heaven. He kills a watcher of the woods. That sparked my interest, because you're talking about Gilgamesh being around the time of Enoch, and they called the fallen, they call angels, period, watchers. That's what they do. Then he killed Humbaba of the cedar forest. So you've got a giant cutting down trees. I think it was saying a lot of these trees he was cutting down in one blow. I don't know. I don't remember if that's right or not. I might be putting that in there, but he was felling trees fairly quickly, is what it was kind of alluding to. And you're talking about trees that are huge. I think even in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it was saying that the trunks of these trees were monsters. But you've got him doing all this, and there's a lot of oxes and a lot of bulls going on, and it's like, I've heard that one before. That's one of my favorite tales as a kid. Other than Johnny Appleseed, who was actually Noah. Other than Johnny Appleseed, the only other story I remember as a kid that I really liked was the one of Paul Bunyan and the Big Blue Ox, who used to fell trees in one fell swoop. Do you understand when I say that our life, all of our history, and everything we were taught is a lie? This wasn't a North American bedtime story. That was a tale from the Sumerians. This is ancient bullshit. All of our tales are a myth and a lie. And all of these gods that they have followed for years and years and years, trying to catch my Xbox before it turns itself off. All these things that we've been taught for years and years and years, they're not just stuff that's been made up over the past couple hundred years. These things have been around since the beginning of time. And most of them are evil. It's me shaking. I don't know if it translates well on the camera or not. I'm hoping somehow this will hit somebody's ear. I really am. I mean, I don't know if anybody actually watches this stuff. Again, this is just me getting it out. It's just me getting it out. I want people to know. I can't go up to somebody in the street and be like, "Hey, guess what?" It doesn't work like that. People think that that's the only way you can get anybody to pay attention anymore. That's not. I can't do that. I can't do that because if anybody had done that to me back then, a perfect example of me. Whenever all those teachers and all those adults and all those people that, whenever I was a kid, they would sit there and tell me, oh well, you have to go believe in God, or you have to believe in this, you have to go do this, or else you're going to go to hell, or this. They were smacking me in the face with it, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do that, man. I can't. You're if you're going to tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to give you information that I've found that it may seem ridiculous, because it seems ridiculous. It sounds completely fucking crazy. But it may seem ridiculous, but in the end, it's like, is it a thing? Yeah. 2, 3, connect the dots. That's what it is. It's this leads to this, leads to this, leads to that, leads to something else. You pull this in here, and you figure out that this was actually this, and they just changed this around a little bit on you, And then you start pulling it up to a certain point, and you're like, man, I just want the truth. At this point, I just want the truth. I'm so tired of having to go back and take all these stories that honestly seem like they mean nothing and put them together for myself. And there's nobody anywhere that's telling me, oh, no, that's not how it went. This is how it went. No, there's people saying, well, you have to believe this or else you're an idiot. It's like, I'm not like that. I don't. The earth doesn't have to be flat. It just seems that way. The earth doesn't have to be flat, but by God, what you're showing me doesn't seem to jibe up with what I'm understanding. We could have absolutely landed on the moon, but the shit you show me just looks so fake. I was watching some more ISS stuff last night, and I'm like, what? Does it look so unreal? What's the one, the blonde chick? The blonde chick that always has her hair up, and it looks like it's going crazy, and her face always looks stretched, like she's laying down. It does. It looks like she's laying down, like she's not hanging. It's like she's hanging from her back, and they're like filming her from the top. That's what it looks like with her hair coming up behind her. It looks like she's laying on her back, and every time she moves her head, her hair kind of wiggles. That's what it looks like. To me, it's what it looks like, and she's hanging. She's not suspended from the top. She's suspended from the front, and her face is so jacked up. And I'm like, is that what zero gravity really does to you? Because you look like shit, man. And I've seen pictures of her. As my dog up there. I've seen pictures of her or videos of her where her face isn't stretched. It's normal, and it's like, so why is it that in that specific video of you talking to these kindergartners, why is it that in that video you look like crap, but in every other video you look fine? Why is that? Why is it that every time you see certain guys that they have to stand there with their arms like this, and you can tell they're doing their best to not, it looks like they're trying to take a shit, and their faces are getting all red, and it's like every part of their body is like, they're tense. They're too tense. It's like, I thought this was zero G, man. I thought you should just be able to be up here and just be like, oh yeah, rock on. Yeah, and then of course you see the swimsuit issue from last year with Heidi Klum up there and her hair's going everywhere, not acting at all like these chicks on the ISS, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? What in the hell is going on? Man. But it doesn't have to be like that. It could be like that. Could very well be like that. I don't know. You want to come down here? What are you doing? Come here. I'm going to have to let her up here with me. I gotta move my stuff. Come here, kid. Come here. My dog. Come here. Come on. There you go. There she is. That's my puppy. I love her. This is Lila. I've talked about her a lot in some of the videos, and I actually put a picture of her in one of the videos somewhere. She has that look where she just gets all pissed off at you if you're not paying attention to her. But my voice, the reason she's probably down here being all lovey is because my voice, I've been, getting a little rowdy. I know I'm getting a little rowdy. I love you. But yeah, it just that kind of stuff. What? Lay down. There you go. I know. It doesn't. I'm not saying it's what it is. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm not saying it's crap. I'm just saying that there's stuff that we just need to look at. I'm not saying that there's been 1,000 years of our lives that have completely disappeared. I'm just saying that there's just some stuff that needs to be answered. That when they tell us something, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. I don't know, man. There's too many questions, and I was told. I remember being told as a teenager that, you know what, life is just full of questions. You just got to kind of live with it and go with it. What? Why can't we just get a straight answer sometimes, Why can't we just get a straight answer where somebody will just say, hey, this is what it was, that's what it was. It just seems like every answer you get to a question, you get it from 5 different people, it'll be five different things. It's just nothing makes sense. I don't know. It's crazy stuff. Have I exhausted everything I need to say? I mean, have I really gone through everything I need to? Because, man, that was a lot. That's a lot to process. That whole thing, holy smokes. I got a lot out on that one. I really did. That's a lot to process. Oof. Man, that's a lot to process. And it's crazy. It's all crazy. And I This is like the second breakdown. The second mental breakdown I'm going through. Thank the Lord that he has given me the ability to he's given me the ability to be able to understand where all this is going, because man, that first mental breakdown I had, it crushed me. This one's not crushing me so much. It's giving me a better understanding of things. That's what it is. But holy smoke, some of this stuff, I'm just like, dude. I saw something about somebody was asking, do you want to be plugged back in? Would you really want to be plugged back in? To the Matrix. Now that you've taken the red pill, do you want to be plugged back into it so that you don't have to think about all this stuff anymore? And I'm like, you going? What are you doing? Did you lay down? Yes, I know, lay down. But it was, it was now that you're here, would you want to pull a cipher and go back in? How bored she is, seriously. But would you want to be plugged back into it? And I'm like, you know what? I can't. I don't want to go back in, because this whole thing is just evil. I understand why my whole life has just been just one consequence of bullshit after another, is because I didn't understand that there's some higher meaning to it all. It's just all nonsense. It's just one big bullshit thing, and the fact that I can't get one single bit of truth out of it, that it just seems like one big lie. And I don't want to go back being ignorant of everything, because if I go back to being ignorant of everything, I'm just going to burn with everybody else, because that's where it leads you to. Once you once your eye is opened up to the lie, once you understand that it's not real, once you understand that there's people that are lying to you, then you understand why. And when you understand why, you start finding out that there is a true evil. Because I never used to believe in true evil. I always used to think that men are evil, that it's just in us. It's in us to be evil. But no, this is a true evil, and I found that out because numerology. Now, of course, gematria and all that. The numerology of things that had happened, the lies that they've given us, it's not human. It's not humanly possible to be able to create the amount of numerical connections that you get in a 9/11 or that you get in a mass shooting or whatever, because the numerical values of all those people and all the names and all the places, they add up, and it just bam, 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 and it's like you can't stage that. No human being possible can stage that. That has to come from some kind of evil source. And that's whenever I figured it out, that there is a true evil. And that led me to understanding that if there is a true evil, there's a true good. And that's whenever the floodgates opened for me. That's whenever it all became perfectly clear that my entire life where I've said I am not of this world. Sorry, had to pull it in a little bit. My entire life where I'd said I am not of this world, that I do not believe that I belong here, that I am meant for something better and bigger, and it's never made any sense to me why all of this garbage is like this, the way that it is. It's because I'm not supposed to be here. We were somewhere else before we were here. And we fell, just like Adam. We fell. We fell for it. We came here. Now we have to work our way back. Some people will never see it. Some people don't want to see it. That's in the book. The book says there will be people that will be deceived by it. And there will be people that will not be comfortable with it even whenever they do find it. There was somewhere in the book that said that there will be those, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact quote, and I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, prove me. But if it said that there will be those that when they get to heaven, they won't like it. They can't be there because that's not their world. This is their world. And I understand that now. It just makes so much more sense than it makes so much more sense than I've just been here wasting my life getting fat and lazy and collecting all this stuff to make me feel better. And I got a lot of stuff, man. I got so much crap. I'm like, dude, the thought has come into my mind more than once to start selling it bit by bit and then just giving all the money away. Just saying, fuck it, I don't care if I can get rid of it. I'm almost there. I really am. I'm almost there. This part of me thinks I should just sell it and just have the money and then just leave. Go somewhere else and just exist. Because this country is going to hell in a handbasket. And I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I really don't. So I don't know. But that's where I am, and if even one part of it, if even one tiny part of it can get into somebody else's mind the way that it did for me, because all it took for me really was just that one bit of, hey, what if? That's all it took. It's just, hey, what if? What if this wasn't real? You ever look at it? I'm not telling you to look at it. I'm not telling you to. I can tell you if you want to prove me wrong, and if you want to prove that what I'm saying could even remotely be true, then you go look at it. But if you hear it and it's just like, whatever, go about your business. Go do your thing. Again, if you're gonna believe what you can believe. I would love it, absolutely love it, if you would come over, figure out that Jesus wants you to come with us. He loves you just as much as God does, and he wants you to accept you and all that. He's always an option. Jesus is always an option. It's always an option. But if it's not your option, then it is what it is. I can't judge you for it. I can't tell you you're going to go to hell because I don't know. That's not for me to decide. That's for him to decide. He'll figure it out. All I can do is tell you the word, and the word is it's pretty nice out here. It really is. Just notice my nose is big. I never really noticed my nose is that big before. It's crazy. I've been thinking that my nose has been getting bigger as I've been getting older. It's weird. I'm probably gonna be like one of those old guys that it's gonna be like huge, a big huge ball at the end of it. I'm probably gonna be one of those old guys like 60, 70 years old, where it's just I'll probably be the one with the big ass ears too, where the ears are like half the size of my head. It's crazy what the human body does the older you get. But yeah, if I can maybe get one person to see it, I would be happy. Because it's scary. It's scary, it's messed up. It will tear you down, it will destroy your mind, and it will hurt, and it will be just agony. It will be absolute agony. But when you come to terms with it and say, Lord Jesus, I can only wish that you can accept me at this point. And when he starts giving you that, and it opens your eyes, and then he starts showing you the rest of it, so start showing you the truth, then you're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So all I can do is be ready and not let it get me down. Just watch. I just gotta watch the signs. Watch signs. Be ready, and hopefully make it through what's coming. Hopefully get Angie to understand that she needs to make a turn. I'm working on her. She's getting there. She'll get better. I'm sure she will. And then spread the word as best I can. I can't. Where I work, these people aren't going to believe me. I know they aren't. I've talking to the couple girls that I talked to, trying to tell them, certain things. It's right over their head. They're stuck in their beliefs, and I'm not going to be able to change that. And no matter how much. So, I just don't know. I don't know what to do after that. God will show me if he needs me to be there. But other than that, I gotta stop. I gotta stop, guys. Thanks for listening. If you listened, if you didn't, you didn't. I don't look at the analytics anymore. I used to look at the analytics all the times on the videos that I was really trying to get people to watch. And, people would watch like 2 or 3 minutes, and you're just like, oh, man, 2 or 3 minutes, whatever. I just put up a 30-minute video. You're only going to watch it for about a minute and figure out that I'm full of crap and then leave. But these, they're out there. If you hear it, you hear it. If you don't, you don't. And like I said, that's part of it. You're either going to hear it, you're not going to hear it. I can't force you to change your mind. I can tell you what I was shown, and I can hope that a little bit of it will get into you. But other than that, I don't know. Let me just make sure there was nothing else that I wanted to say. Grand Canyon stuff. I didn't even get into the Grand Canyon stuff, man. I'll do it quick. Grand Canyon. 1909, newspapers were telling of Egyptian and Asian artifacts that were found in the caves of Grand Canyon. There was a Buddha statue and Egyptian hieroglyphs. Smithsonian came in, took over the whole thing, and then they said that it wasn't real. It was all fraud. Now, the Hopi Indians, they have a legend about the Grand Canyons, talking about an underground city. Get this, underground city with a tree that grew up. There were like two people that were there. One of what are they saying? It was one of the people that were double-eyed, which were bad, and one people that had single-eyed, which were good. I don't know what to make of that. But there was an underground city. There was an underground city with a tree, and the tree grew, broke through the roof, and all the good single-eyed people got out of it. That means that they left all these bad people down there in an underground city. Tree of life, hell, I don't know. Could be a thing. The most interesting thing, though, is that most of all the peaks at Grand Canyon, go look this up. Go look this up. This is weird. All the peaks, all the big peaks in Grand Canyon are named after pagan gods. Tower of Set, Tower of Osiris, Tower of Isis. Are you kidding me? What was the one? Church of Solomon? What? I never knew that. And then apparently there's like certain peaks in the Grand Canyons that resemble the constellation of Orion. Woo, doggy. And then there's parts of them where there's people saying that there's like certain parts of it where they look like step pyramids and all this other kind of stuff. And there's like big rock formations that they look like they could have been statues at one point. They don't know because of the erosion and all this shit. You're just like, oh my god. All that says to me is pre-flood. That's all that says to me. That says pre-flood. That said there's a civilization there that they all got covered up with sediments and all the other stuff whenever the flood came, and then whenever that sucker drained, it just drained around the rocks because all the sediments would not have been as hard as the rocks around it. The reason that the sediments are hard now is because they've had 1,000 years to kind of cook and process. So they would have drained around these peaks, and that's where these peaks are coming out of. That's where all these caves and stuff are coming out of. They're coming out of these holes where it's in the rocks. I don't know. Fuck, man. Apparently you can't go into those caves anymore because they're all protected. Every single cave in the Grand Canyon is protected. You can't go into any damn one of them. So we will never know. Oh, you've got to be shitting me. Other than that, the only thing I had was I had a couple things in here. I got one more thing in here. This is all just random stuff. Oh yes, the reason that I got onto the Grand Canyon thing is because inside of the Book of Enoch, Enoch was talking about going to a place. Oh, where was it at? It's right here. I know. I said I was going to stop, but we're going to keep going because I want to get this done. So he's talking about going to the outer places of the earth, finding things. So chapter 26, Enoch. I think this is first Enoch. And I went there to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches alive and blooming on a tree that had been cut down. Okay. And there I saw a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. Okay. And I saw towards the east another mountain, higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow valley. Okay. And in it ran a stream underneath the mountain, and to the west of it there was another mountain lower than the former, and of small elevation, and a deep, dry valley between them. And another deep dry valley was at the edge of the three mountains, and all the valleys were deep and narrow, being formed from hard rock, and there were no trees planted on them. And I was very amazed at the rocks in the valley. So I was like, okay, there's something going on there that he's telling us. So I started I drew a little thing. Can you see? so he's talking about the one in the middle. He's talking about this stream that comes out of it, goes to the east and to the south. That's what that little line is. He saw one to the east that was bigger, and then he saw one to the west that was smaller. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. It doesn't have to be that way. Again, it's all speculation. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And then I got, it went from there to the what was it? It went from there to talking about, I started trying to find out a little bit more about the pyramids, and the first thing I hit with the pyramids, it led me to the pyramids, or the three peaks in the Grand Canyon. I mean, that's what I call God sending me, sending me off, because you could look at a million different things about the pyramids, and they're on somewhere, they're on YouTube. You can go listen to them, whatever. But you're not going to get from the pyramids of Giza to the pyramids of the Grand Canyon without having something push you over. And that's exactly what happened. I went from here, zoop, and I'm like, oh, I gotta be kidding me. Because the guy was saying, the guy that was on the video was saying, these structures, the pyramids of Giza, they line up perfectly with the constellation of Orion and his belts. We also have something very similar to that, to the three peaks in the Grand Canyon. Fuck's sakes. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, there's these three peaks. Go look it up on Google Maps. Google Maps. Look up the peaks of the Grand Canyon. It's what I did. Or don't look it up. Just if you feel like getting into, if you feel like chasing a rabbit hole, do this. Go. You'll see it. There's three of them that are bam, 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 and it's just like Orion. It's like one, and then the other one's like right beside it, and then there's one just a little bit above it. And they're turned, of course, they're turned, but it's still the one is to the east, the one's to the west, and then you can the other peaks that are around it. There's one that I think it's missing. But I think it's where the because the Grand Canyon, the way it is, it's like a plateau and then just drops. Then it just comes up and then it just drops again, and then it is what it is. But I think there's one that's like buried, like where the plateau is, that we can't see because it's buried underneath all this rock, and you're just like, you got to be shitting me. You got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me with this. This can't be real. And then you hear about this guy that supposedly went to the Grand Canyons, found this thing in 1909, and then, of course, the Smithsonian come in, and then sure enough, as soon as they came in, they said it's not real, and then everything disappeared, and now you can't go in there anymore. I'm not, I just... I'm over it. I'm over it, and I'm done, and, I can't do this anymore. I gotta stop. I gotta blow my nose. I want to go eat, but at the same time, I'm thinking. I had Arby's last night, so I'm like overstuffed. I feel like crap. And I'm thinking about doing a fasting day too, because I haven't done a fasting day in a while, but I want to do a fasting day. But I don't know. I don't know how much I want to get into it. And yes, I've been having water. Every time I fast, I have water because I'm not there yet. But I could at least do like half a day fasting, I guess. I don't know. We're talking about having chicken Alfredo. Take it as you will. If you made this far, take it as you will. If you feel like looking it up, look it up. If you don't feel like looking it up, don't look it up. It doesn't matter either way. I'm going to leave you with one final last note. One final last little bit. There's 60 seconds in a minute. There's 60 minutes in a day. There's 60, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. 2 plus 4 is 6. That time measurement was made up by man. Enoch has a completely different time measurement where we separate it out into 18 hours a day. That, I don't know. I don't know because that still comes up to 999. So you know how that goes. I don't know. But that's how I got into this whole that's how I got into the whole, how can you know if anything, how can you know if our times are even real? Because this is made up. They talk about this atomic clock, this clock of the universe, but it doesn't have to be 60 seconds. It could be 30 seconds that we cut up into halves. We don't know this. We don't know. This is just the way we did it so that we as humans could figure out how to do it. But that's a 60-60-24. Not saying, I'm just saying, the whole 360. There's a whole bunch of other little calculations I have that doesn't mean anything, but this is, I literally put on the back. What am I on to here? I mean, what am I on to here? I don't know if I'm on to anything. It's just random. Like I said, random. This whole video has been random. I gotta stop. I'm gonna put this up here so I don't lose it. I'm gonna put this up here so I don't lose it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I don't care. I want to start posting video game stuff again, man. I want to get back into some Final Fantasy. I don't know if I want to get back into 4. I'm not ready for that just yet. But I don't know. I might do some Final Fantasy 12. So if you guys see like a gaming video right after this, it's either going to be one audience or the other. I don't know. I think they're home. Yeah, I think they're home. All right, anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. Doesn't matter. You guys take it easy. I wish you all well in all your future endeavors. And I hope that the world lasts for you. God bless you, guys. Jesus is always an option. Take care, and I shall see you later.